it's just
fees, sanctioning fees, and all
sanctioning
that.
fees. I'd just rather get paid.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want that.
Exactly. And back to Al Heyman, I don't know why this came to mind. It's like him and Mayweather are like chess compared to the Don King and the Mike Tyson. They were like I guess you could see they put the blueprint out, but Al and Mayweather just took it to a whole nother level.
Yeah,
that's what they done with the game.
And the thing is, they were brothers. Like they stuck together. Not just like, obviously there's always going to be long fights and wars inside the ring, but outside the ring, which was much far worse fights. For instance, like during May 2016, Bob Arum sued Al Heyman, and Top Rank was trying to sue Al Heyman for $100 million for the Ali Act. And that's basically trying to that Al Heyman was not protecting his fighters, that he was only looking after himself, which they ended up settling an agreement.
It was a settlement, yeah.
It was a settlement, but not many people knew how much was the settlement. But one thing that came out 8 months later in that settlement was the fact that one of the terms of the settlement was that exclusivity provision in Heyman's deals with various networks that televised PBC cards was dropped. And in this case, because you know how when PBC started, it was like not just on NBC, on CBS, or in Fox, it was also on ESPN. So one of the biggest arguments with Al Heyman when they were suing them, he's like, hey, why are you getting all these networks? Like, you're monopolizing every single network. Like, what about us, you know? So part of the settlement was that he needed to drop one of those networks. And that was ESPN.
Okay.
So this is the reason why I'm bringing up all those networks in the beginning. Because Golden Boy Promotions then got a deal last year because this settled it right here, this settlement. Once Top Rank sued Al Heyman, settled, Golden Boy said, all right, ESPN is open. Let me go buy some slots for that. That's where we're at with Golden Boy and ESPN. That's how we came to this conclusion with Golden Boy. But that was not even the last lawsuit. Then there was a second lawsuit, and this is probably the biggest one, honestly. This was against Golden Boy with Al Heyman. And this ended up ending in January 2017. And this was so far more than $100 million. So Golden Boy was suing them for $300 million this time. And part of the reason why they were suing them for that much was because Al Heyman, towards the later stage, like took a lot of fighters from
the
Golden Boy.
Yeah.
We're talking about Leo Santa Cruz, Amner Matis, Amir Khan, Keith Thurman, so many good fighters. Deontay Wilder.
Yeah.
And now who does Golden Boy have? Like I can name how many fighters. Look how many I could count. Linares, Canelo, Jojo Diaz. What's that one kid that's coming up?
Oh, Ryan Garcia.
Yeah.
Ryan Garcia. And who else?
Munguia, right? He has
Munguia.
Lemieux.
Yeah, not a lot.
Not a lot. So eventually he needs to start making business with somebody else besides Top Rank. So it's not that many. So at the end of the day, the way PBC came to play was because investors called Waddell and Reed ended up investing Al Heyman $500 million to create like this war chest.
So Waddell and Reed are his two main.
This is like this investment firm that just not donated, but just they saw an opportunity, and in the end you're gonna get a return, right? So, but they took a huge blows because at the end of the day they were trying to create PBC, but at the same time too they were also being sued by not just a Golden Boy but also Top Rank. And currently, right now, from my understanding, I think Al Heyman has like around 200 boxers. Like 200 boxers. That's in the league in itself. Like not many. Like I just told you how many fighters I could count with Golden Boy. That's just like 5. I'm pretty sure he has like
more. Yeah.
But
he can create like his own UFC for boxing, huh?
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned that because I believe Dana White actually had a conversation with Al Heyman, and Al Heyman wanted to take notes on how Dana White did his business. Because if you look at Dana White, like he's the businessman. And he did something that everybody wants to do, and that's not just have UFC and pay-per-view, right, every single month, but actually have UFC on the mainstream. In this case, when you think about UFC, it's always going to be on Fox Sports, right? And that's what Al Heyman wanted to do, have boxing as like one league, right? And then also be on mainstream and then build them up to pay-per-view, right? That's how you make your investment money back. So that's what Al Heyman tried to like do, and he's still trying. And I think, and at the end of the day, I think he won because he took the blows and he killed off HBO, and now he has this big stable of boxers, and he has these 2 new TV deals. One being Showtime, who has been consistently with him for a long time, and then second, Fox. And what's so funny about that deal with Fox, and they asked Espinosa this too, because they're saying that Fox is going to be having their own pay-per-views. So it's good because now, yeah, Showtime, don't sleep. Okay, yeah, we're going to be doing all the pay-per-views now, right? Nope. Now you're going to have Fox pay-per-view versus Showtime pay-per-view. So that's more competition besides having Danza, you know? So that's good in itself. So Al Heyman, like he's, and they asked Espinosa, like, do you like that? He's like, as a promoter, you know, like not really. But if you're a fan, you're like, yeah, you got to like that. There's more options. But to me, like what was so interesting was the fact that a lot of people, when they were suing Al Heyman, specifically Golden Boy, they had this impression that the boxers were not being taken care of at all. And that's not necessarily true. When they were testifying in court, there was actually 6 fighters that came to testify on behalf of Al Heyman. The most notable ones was Daniel Jacobs, John Molina, Sean Porter, and the last one's really interesting, Leo Santa Cruz.
Yeah.
The only reason why I say Leo Santa Cruz is because his son is named Al.
Coincidence. What a coincidence.
So at the end of the day, that lawsuit between Golden Boy and Al Heyman got dismissed. Got dismissed. Wow. So they didn't have to pay $300 million to Al Heyman didn't have to pay $300 million to Golden Boy. Apparently, this is what the Heyman's lawyer said, Michael Williams. He said the court recognizes that the Ali Act to protect boxers, not promoters, was especially hypocritical, given that the court cited evidence that confirms that Heyman has consistently looked to protect the interests of boxers.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Any decline in Golden Boy's business cannot be attributed to the hard work and legal activities of my clients. In this case, Heyman. And then not only that, the judge came out and he was quoted saying, "It is undisputed that Heyman Sports has worked with promoters across the industry." And this is true. If you look at how the previous years have been, like Al Heyman's in the back and he has other promoters do this stuff. In this case, either Golden Boy, like that fight between Stubborn and Wilder, that was promoted by Golden Boy. Yeah. Top Rank, Devella have done business with Heyman as promoters. So those are promoters that were actually doing the job for Heyman. Yeah. He was just in the back seat just managing them. Yeah. But the thing is,
it makes sense why he doesn't give interviews, and so there's like completely no confusion that he's promoting anything at all. Because nowadays you could promote anything on YouTube, you know, pretty much like any social platform. And so I guess that's a reason, so that he knows that there's definitely no confusion with him promoting anything at all.
Yeah, Christian, you mentioned something about the fights last Saturday, right? The show that you guys did. Who'd you run into?
Oh yeah, we ran into Leo Santa Cruz's brother, Antonio. And so yeah, me just being, you know, try to, you know, do my little investigative homework. I went up to him, started making small talk, and asked him a little bit about Al Heyman. And so yeah, he had nothing but good things to say about him. You know, he takes care of the Santa Cruz family. They're very appreciative of everything he's done. And so this is a story that we constantly like hear from fighters, that Al has done nothing but, you know, taking care of fighters, and that's something that in boxing's history is not always the case. And so, Chris, anything you would like to add?
No, and I think I do. This is how I want to end things, because it basically sums up everything where we're at with HBO, why it died. All right. So Cameron Duncan, he manages Terrence Crawford. Okay. A lot of people think, doesn't Bob Arum? He's the promoter. Cameron Duncan is the manager of Terrence Crawford. Now, Terrence Crawford right now, arguably top 5 pound for pound fighter, right? So he was quoted, because he lost fighters under Al Heyman
Mm.
because he used to manage Leo Santa Cruz and Mikey Garcia, and they asked him about Al Heyman in general, and this is what he was quoted. He's saying, "It's a constant battle to hold on to your fighters," Duncan says. Heyman has his guys whispering in their ear, "Danny Garcia is making more money than you because he's with Al, and you're better than Danny Garcia. Al is flying his fighters around in a private jet. All I can tell my guys is stay with me. If you do your job in the ring, I'll get you on HBO. HBO isn't going to disappear, and Heyman might."
Oh, dang. That's like one of those tweets that don't age well. Dang. Yeah.
I'm still sad about HBO.
It still hurts. It's too soon.
We're like
It's
a
too
week
soon.
removed from that big news. I don't think I've processed it yet. Hasn't kicked in.
So because
But
of
Al Heyman, all right, the ghost.
interesting character.
Yeah, and that's all that. I mean, that's their information.
It's all connected, right? That's what it seems like.
Yeah, it's all
Everything's connected.
connected. Like basically, boxing revolves around one man.
But do you think he would be able to do this, like, let's say, in the early 2000s or late 90s? Because
No,
it seems like he's able to do this because, like, we talked about this last year. There's no boxing superstar now, right? Like, the boxers aren't really calling the shots nowadays, right? There's only a couple, like, I don't think he would be able to do that, when back then with the big names of De La Hoya or Mike Tyson and Shane Mosley. I think this era allows him to do what he's doing now. And because I feel like the boxers probably need a guy like that, and boxing itself probably needs a guy like that, right? And the networks and all the investors, right? What do you think?
yeah, I would agree because in boxing, you don't have somebody to take care of you. Like you don't have a salary. It depends on how many fights you have.
Yeah.
When you are in the NBA or in NFL or soccer, whatever you want to call it, other sports, like you have contracts, you have sponsorships, and that's the thing with Al Heyman. Like he really like took care of his, or not that he still is taking care of his fighters, and that's the perception that some people give this bad look, and some people, like, I understand why some people may not like him. In fact, when they did the PBC like introduction, like the press conference, like this is what PBC is going to be about, like the press conference, like how Apple has like all our new product.
Yeah.
So they ended up having like their own event,
Yeah.
but it's
the
for
suits and
PBC. They
everything,
had their suits. Yeah, you remember that?
Yeah.
So there was one guy that was not invited as a reporter. When you think about boxing reporters, who do you think of? Like, give me two.
I think of Dan Rafael.
What about you, Gio?
I don't pay attention to reporters.
What? Well, yeah, he wasn't invited.
Oh, Dan Rafael was not invited? What? Yeah, it was